What up, what up, what up, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the Live Good, Feel Better podcast, the podcast where we talk about health in a way that's practical, honest, and actually doable. I'm Joshua Gibson, a believer, husband, father, rapper, business owner, and now, recently, health enthusiast. And today, we are going to focus on simple habits that help you feel better physically, mentally, spiritually, and financially, all right? Now, this is not about perfection. I say this all the time, but this is about progress, making small steps daily to get better. Now, we are going to get into the scripture for this season. Colossians 3:23, work willingly at whatever you do as though you are working for the Lord rather than for people. Now, without any further ado, we are going to get into our guest for this week. Today's guest is the definition of what this podcast is all about. Real holistic health in every area of life, not just physical, but mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual as well. She is a licensed psychotherapist, a best-selling author, a holistic wellness life coach, a consultant, an international speaker, a space holder, and a podcaster. She's been featured on major platforms like NBC, ABC, Fox Sports, and Therapy for Black Girls. She's the creator behind Cooking with Mel, where she helps people build healthier lifestyles through food and real-life habits. She's also the author of The Love Challenge, helping couples restore and strengthen their relationships through simple, intentional, daily actions. Beyond that, y'all, she is involved in creating safe spaces for healing in the community, including events like healing circles that focus on mental and emotional wellness. And she is the host of the Hats podcast, where she has real conversations around growth, healing, and transformation. Y'all, this is not somebody who just talks about health. She lives it, she teaches it, and she helps people walk it out in their real life. Y'all help me welcome Melissa Dumaz. How you doing?
I'm good. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Definitely. The first question I have, and this is very, very, very important. When do you sleep? That is a genuine question.
That is a great question because many nights I'm up well past my bedtime. But my ideal bedtime is 10 o'clock, but usually it's more like 11:30. And yes, there's a lot on my plate. As you can see, I wear a lot of hats. So that's a legitimate question. When do I sleep?
So with everything you do, like the therapy, the coaching, the speaking, the podcasting, like how do you balance all that without like feeling burnt out or burning out?
Yeah, great question. I'll lead by saying that the first thing that I do is I eliminate the word balance from my vocabulary. Because, when we think about balance, at least for me, I think about like scales, and we think about scales, it like has to be even. And the reality is, as someone who does a lot, I want to give my 100% to all of the things that I do. And so what I look for the most is harmony. Like, what is a schedule that creates harmony for me? What's a schedule that allows me to give my 100% to the things that I enjoy doing, give my 100% to myself, to my family, my husband, and when I spend time with friends. And so the goal for me is generally harmony. And in that harmony, some moments, may look like we're expending ourselves up here, and some may be like, no, we're expending ourselves here, but this still feels harmonious to me. And then also having some order is really important for me. Like I have designated days for stuff, like just by chance, Thursdays happens to be my podcast day for me and my co-host, because she wears a lot of hats too. So we had to set like a certain day, certain time to be able to meet and connect. And then I have certain days for private practice clients and so on.
I want to take it back to your childhood. Like when you were growing up, what parts of your childhood like shaped like how you work today, like how ambitious you are? And I'm assuming you were like a very goal-oriented person. Like what parts of your childhood shaped that part of your personality?
One is I come from a community of a lot of women, a lot of strong women. My grandmother was really strong. My great-grandmother, my mom is really strong, and strong in a sense like resilient, resourceful. So that was really helpful. Honestly, I think some of that grew out of trauma response. I was the first in my family to go to college and to graduate college. So there was that sense of like wanting something different from my life than I had been exposed to. And then that really shifted for me moving to California. I moved to California, young. And, I feel like living in California, especially living in LA, it like it gives you this boost to want to eat healthier, to live better. And then going back to the trauma response of it, my mom was a single mother. And so I saw the ways that she worked hard to provide for our family. And just as a kid, there were commitments, even at that age, that I made for myself that I wanted and that I didn't want. And then dreams that I had for myself. And so it has been my mission to update those dreams as needed, but then to live according to those dreams and to go after them.
Nice. So you moved to LA. Where'd you move from?
I was born in Missouri and then I was
Okay.
raised in Arkansas. And then my mom moved here first. And after her being here for about a year, she moved me here. And she left my senior year in undergrad. And she was like, "Are you coming with me?" And I was like, "No." Like, I'm a senior, I've applied for grad school already. At that time, I was in a relationship and I was just like, no, I'm not leaving. And so I stayed.
So, with you being a psychotherapist, so for those who don't know, and I was one of those people before I researched, like explain what that is and then kind of talk about like some of the most common struggles you see people dealing with that we don't talk about enough.
Yeah, so a psychotherapist is, for me, I'm a licensed psychotherapist. So that means that, because usually if I say licensed therapist, people are like, oh, are you a physical therapist? Are you a
Yeah.
rehab therapist? Like, people will have questions. They don't all necessarily know what type of therapist that means. So adding the psychotherapist in front of it makes it clear that it's related to the mental health field. And so I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. So essentially what that means is, as an LMFT, whenever I work with a client as an individual, a family, or couples, I'm looking from the standpoint of relationships. How is what you're coming in with impacting relationships, or how is what you're dealing with or your mental health concerns impacting relationship? And that can be relationship with self, relationship with partner, family, friends, work, just relationship with the world, just relationship in general. So each type of therapy field has a different scope, if you will. And so that is my scope. Like, for example, people will ask a lot, well, what's the difference between you and like a licensed clinical social worker? And a licensed clinical social worker, they provide therapy too, but they look at things from the lens of the social perspective. How is this impacting your mental, emotional, your view on society, your community, your family, the way in which you live, the governmental system. And so they look at things from a different lens, but ultimately our goals are similar, which is to get our clients well.
I want to touch on this real quick. I know, like, at least for me, I feel like on social media and just like in media in general, there's an attack on marriage. What do you think is the value of marriage?
Yeah. Well, I'm biased. One, because, that is my field. I have studied relationships. And then two, I'm biased because I'm married, been married for 16 years, and it is a relationship that I do value. My husband and I have 3 children. As I mentioned, I grew up and my mom was single. My husband grew up and his parents were married 50 years prior to his mother passing. And so he came to the relationship with a value of marriage as well. And for me, that commitment for marriage started again in childhood, seeing my mom and the challenges that she went through and telling myself, like, I don't want to be a single mom. I don't want to, manage life like this. Like, if I have kids, I want to wait until I'm married and I want to be in a relationship. And again, that was a commitment I made to myself as a kid, but now knowing as an adult, you could be married and still be single. I've worked with clients in that regard where they're in relationships, but they're still carrying the load of the relationship as if they're a single person. And I also now know, being in this field many years and living life, that yeah, you can make it a commitment, get married, and then some people get divorced. Just because you get married doesn't mean that your marriage will last. But I think that the value of it is individual. Like, we have to decide for ourselves what is our value and what are my deal breakers and what's my fight, because you've been married for long enough, like, things are going to come up, things are going to happen. And there are moments, even in your marriage throughout the years, where you find yourself forgiving yourself or forgiving your partner over and over again. And I know sometimes that's challenging, especially for some people who live in a very much like cancel culture. It's like, oh, you did something wrong, I'm out of here, I don't want to be together. And
Yeah.
again, each person has to decide what their non-negotiables are. But for me to quickly leave after one fight or one disagreement, that doesn't hold to the way that I value marriage.
Right. And yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Like we are in a cancel culture, like when it comes to celebrities, but I feel like that definitely leaked over into not even just marriage, like friendships and
Friendship,
jobs. Like people
job,
just
yes.
quit anything
Yeah,
and cancel anything these
right.
days.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
so I know you talk a lot about like healing and transformation, but what does like real healing actually look like in everyday life? Like a practical way to heal and not just a theory.
Yeah, great question. And before I answer that, I'll go back to something you asked that I didn't get to, which was who do I see in my private practice, or what are some of the challenges that,
Oh
people come
yes.
in with? And it's a variety. I see some clients who want help in their marriage or in their relationship, or I've also seen clients who aren't sure if they want to continue to be married, and so they'll use the space to process that. But predominantly, I work with busy, ambitious people who either need a safe space to process trauma. They're like, there's something going on and I haven't really processed it. So they'll need a safe space for that. And then I also just help busy people take better care of themselves. Cause like you said, like they're trying to find the balance or like trying to find the harmony, and they're going over here, they're wearing hats over there, and they
Yeah.
find themselves burned out. And the reality is that usually burnout is happening because there's something in their lifestyle that is not conducive with them taking care of themselves. And so I give them that space, that safe space to be able to process that, to unpack that, and to create lifestyle changes moving forward. What does that wellness journey look like? What does that healing journey look like? Ultimately, it's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that if I go and I talk to somebody and I get it all out and then I cleanse the wound and I feel better, then I'm good. But in reality, to prevent from going back to that mental and emotional space, it's a lifestyle change. And that lifestyle change can look like eating differently, could look like working out or incorporating working out, or maybe you do work out, but you're not doing the workout that is gentle for your body or your mental and emotional state at the season of life. That could also be incorporating new tools in your everyday life. It's like, okay, you're already driving into the office. How could we use that hour drive to be more conducive to your mental and emotional needs? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
find yourself getting frustrated with traffic, then what are you listening to into the office? Who are you talking to? Like, what are the conversations that you have with yourself? The other thing I tell them is there is no, okay, ta-da, I'm healed and I'm done. Like that
Nope.
there's levels to healing, and there's a reason that we call it a journey. And when I say levels, not in a hierarchy way, but levels in like longevity, that like you could start at point A today and resolve the thing that you came into my office to resolve. And then you look up and you're like, but wait, I feel good about at point A, but now I'm at point B. How do I incorporate this into my lifestyle? How do I have this conversation with people who saw me differently? How do I now let people know that I'm no longer a people pleaser and that that behavior is no longer tolerated? And so,
Yep.
even as you're learning and growing and changing, there's room to practice these new tools in a safe space. So, when you have to go out into the world and reintroduce yourself to your circle, your friends, your partner, you have the tools and the confidence to be able to do it.
And then as far as what it looks like to heal every day, like just like a practical sense, what would your advice be for that?
Making room for something for yourself every day. And if you can, when I say make room for something for yourself, that means make room to move your body, do something for your emotional health, do something for your physical health, do something for your spiritual health, and then move your body. That's the physical health component. So looking at yourself as parts, and how do I integrate all of these parts that feed into me, and how do I do a little something for each of that part? And so for example, for some people that may be waking up, journaling, meditation, or some deep breathing or quiet time. And then that may be feeding their bodies with something healthy, whether that is a healthy breakfast or their vitamins or their minerals for the day, or hydrating. And then that could be then at some point throughout their day working out. That could be at some point throughout the day reading something that they're interested in, journaling. That could be at some point throughout the day, finding joy, doing something that brings them joy or makes them happy, and
Yep.
choosing foods that nourish their body versus foods that deplete their body.
Speaking about food, I found you from the Cooking with Mel Instagram page. So that's one of your many endeavors. What's your overall goal with that particular brand? Is it something just for fun, or do you have like an overall goal?
It's a little bit of both, to be honest. Like, I love to cook,
Yep.
and my family will say frequently, like, "Mom, you need a restaurant. Mom, you need a restaurant." But the
Yeah.
idea of like being in a restaurant and like rushing food out and slaving over the food to get it out to a table in time, like that feels really stressful for me, and my nervous system is like, I don't know about that. And so a
Yeah.
girlfriend of mine was like, "Well, what about a pop-up? Like, not a full-on restaurant where you're working in every day, but a pop-up." But ultimately, I don't know if I would own a restaurant. I'm not going to count any blessings out. If that's what God has for me, I receive it. But I don't see it right now. But what I am interested in is writing a cookbook. Where Cooking with Mel came from is not just my passion for cooking and wanting to show other people that like you can enjoy plant-based foods in delicious ways and in ways that are family friendly, so that it doesn't feel so daunting. That's
Yeah.
part of it. And the other part stemmed from my own journey, being a therapist. So there was like the journey of my own journey and then the journey of my clients. And what I noticed is like, yeah, someone can come into my office and I work with them on this one thing, this traumatic experience, and boom, we process it. But the clients that have the most success and the most long-standing success are the ones who are willing to make a 180 shift in their entire life. The ones who are willing to look at their diet and say, you know what? I have anxiety, but I also drink a lot of coffee every day. And being able to make that connection, that that coffee is giving them anxiety. And while they may enjoy the coffee, what are some alternatives that they could have? Maybe there's an herbal tea that's just as soothing, but doesn't ignite or trigger their anxiety. So helping people to see that, like, the food you're eating is also very much connected to your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual well-being. We are not just like individuals, and even like to the point of the energy that we put into the food, the energy that someone else puts into the food, all of that is feeding us and nourishing us, not just on a cellular level, but on a mental, emotional, physical, spiritual level.
What are some things like what are some foods that maybe you have noticed personally that you enjoyed it before, but you realize after paying attention, this food may not be good for me mentally, or this food may give me anxiety, or this food, even physically, this food isn't good for me? Like, what are some foods that have that relationship with you?
The one that I have the most toxic relationship with, I'll start there, is sugar. Is,
Me too.
just like, just, what is it? Just, processed sugars. Let me be
Yeah.
specific. Processed sugars, like the pastries, like that's my weakness. But, and even when I allow myself like a little something, like it will then send me on this like sugar tangent. Then I'm just like wanting it. I want to have it after a meal, or I'm craving it, or my sweet tooth is really strong. But when I will do a detox, whether that's through a juice fast or a raw fast, I feel amazing. Like raw food
Yes.
makes me feel my best. And then as soon as I reintroduce a little bit of sugar, then it's like the spiral kicks back in again. And so even with me knowing the knowledge that like this is really a legal drug, it's still really, really hard to kick. But when I feel my best is when I'm eating all real and like true sugars, like fruits or things with no added sugars. Like I'm learning that like dates are a really good substitute whenever I want to go grab something sweet, to grab a date or something of
Yeah.
that nature. So, but as soon as I introduce the processed sugars, then my body's like, oh, here we go.
Yep. Yeah. Same here. Like, I'm not. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I have some cookies right now in the kitchen. Like, I'll go to the grocery store and buy all this healthy stuff like fruits and
Mhm.
vegetables, and like something in my mind is like, well, just in case
Just in case.
you have a
Yep.
sweet tooth or whatever, you,
Yep.
you don't want to go back out. You don't want to waste gas. So just grab
Right.
these cookies. And
Yeah.
now they're sitting there. And when I do end up eating them, thank God they're not open yet. But when I do end up eating one or whatever, I immediately, at this point in my life, feel like, man, I went like X amount of days just eating fruits and vegetables or no meat. And now here we are. And like you said, you do kind of end up going on that downward spiral.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me get
Yeah.
2 cookies, or
Uh-huh.
now let me get some chips, or whatever it is.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, very true. It's like the
yep,
unhealthy eating begets unhealthy eating. And then the
yeah,
healthy eating begets healthy eating. Like the more I'm eating, even like, because people be like, oh, well, you're plant-based. I'm like, there's a lot of vegan junk food.
oh,
And it's good, not good for us, but it tastes delicious. When I say good, it tastes
yeah,
delicious. But what I notice is that when I eat more vegan junk, my body craves more vegan junk. But when
yeah,
I'm eating healthier or eating more like whole foods, then my body's like, okay, we're satisfied, we're satiated. We're not even thinking about the junk. But as soon as like a little bit touches your tongue, then it's over with.
yeah. And sometimes I'll justify it. Like, I've ate healthy all day. I can get a
Right.
little,
You want to reward yourself. Yes, yes.
yeah,
And the reality too is that like all of us have a little kid in us that wants to play. And so by no means am I saying, I mean, some people can like cut it out and be done. And I applaud those people. I admire their discipline. But for the
facts.
person who's listening, who's like, I'm not ready to give that stuff up. By no means am I saying that you have to go cold turkey. Do what works best for you. For me, when I decided to give up meat, I went cold turkey, but that worked for me. But giving up like treats and processed sugars, it's hard for me to go cold turkey. So what I am learning is what are the whole foods or what are the unprocessed sweets that I can have that don't feel as damaging and that don't send me down this like tangent of cravings. And so
Yeah,
even learning like the different qualities in chocolates, like, learning like the certain cacao percentages and chocolates that don't have like the added junk, like a Hershey's bar is going to be very different from like a Whole Foods 80-20% cacao bar.
yeah,
It's going to be processed very differently. It's going to have cocoa in it versus cacao, and cocoa usually has sugar in it, cacao does not. And so just learning those things can be really helpful, and also learning what are the whole foods that still make me feel like I had a treat but did good for my body versus treating my body unwell.
absolutely. And as far as you being plant based, so you said you stopped meat cold turkey. For one, when did you go plant based? What made you want to go plant based? And then how did you stop cold turkey?
Yeah, so honestly, Josh, my journey has been an interesting one. So I ran into a girlfriend of mine years ago, and she looked amazing, one of my sorority sisters, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like your skin is flawless, like you're glowing." And she
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I just did a cleanse. I met this holistic doctor and I did a cleanse with him, and he's also an iridologist, so he looks into your eyes and he'll tell you just by looking in your eyes what your concerns are, what your ailments are." And so I met with
Wow.
him, and he's also an herbalist, so he has like a whole cleansing pack, and he is vegan himself, so he will educate you on like vegan lifestyle, but he doesn't push it on you. And so I did his cleanse, and after I was done with his cleanse, I said, well, I've been 30 days without dairy, sugar, meat. Let me see how much longer I can go. And I looked up and it had been another 30 days. And I said,
Mm,
well, if it's been this long and I haven't thought about it, then I won't go back to it. The one thing though that I did go back to was fish. And so fish and I have had an interesting relationship. You know, for the most, like my family and I took a trip to Hawaii some years ago, and we ate a lot of fish in Hawaii,
yeah.
because just Hawaii is just not the place for vegans. Like you're either cooking or just eating some vegetables off the menu, but it's not necessarily a place that's super vegan friendly. So we ate a lot of fish and a lot of seafood. And when we got back, even my kids were like, I don't want any more fish, mom. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, then I won't buy anymore. And so I stopped buying it. And then periodically, when we go out to restaurants, we may have it. But now I'm in a place where I allow my body, I listen to my body. And
Yeah.
if I'm like, okay, I want a kale salad today. Cool, kale salad, no problem. But some days my body's like, you know what? Can we get a piece of fish on that kale salad? And I'll
Yeah.
say, okay, nope, no problem. And I'll listen. And then like the conspiracist though in me is like, is that my body saying it, or is that the parasites asking for some meat?
Right. Right.
So to your point, even earlier when you were like talking about when are we healed or what does a healing journey look like it's a journey, and it's just
Yeah.
being open to learn more about yourself, to learn more about nutrition and the foods and what's available to us, and to listen to our bodies as well.
Yeah. And that's what this podcast is all about. Like, anytime you want to do something in your life, get a better marriage or eat healthier, you look on social media and you like people portray that their marriage is perfect. Or people
Yeah.
portray that all I do is juice or all I do
Right.
is, you know, eat
Right.
plant based and I never put fish on my salad. Like no, like we're all humans and like you said, it's a journey, it ebbs and flows and some days are strong, some days are weak. I want to switch gears and just in my research of you and everything that you have going on, I saw that you recently had a Black men's healing circle.
Mhm.
So like what
Yeah.
inspired that? What did you learn from being part of that experience?
The vision came to me during the summer of 2025. I was in Bali speaking at a women's wellness retreat, and it was a beautiful experience, beautiful retreat. And there were moments where I was looking around, I was like, wow. I would say the retreat was probably about 80% women of color. And I was looking around, I was like, look at all these women that made this investment financially, like time, energy into their wellness. And in that moment, I was like, men need something like this. Like, where are the men? Are men making this level of investment into their care?
Yep.
And so my last 2 days there were very reflective. And so as I was just having a slow morning, getting out of bed, I got this whisper from God, and He said, when you get home, I want you to create more safe spaces for Black men. And I said, okay, I'll do it. Like it was the clearest whispering messaging that I had received in a long time. And I
Yeah.
think part of that one is because Bali is such a magical place. And I was really like not just speaking at the retreat, but also involved in receiving all of the gifts from the retreat. And then, naturally just being away from your day to day, getting a moment to just be
Yeah.
still, to be quiet, it really opens you up to be able to hear from your higher power or to have conversations and meditation and allow those downloads to really flow. And during that time, we ate all healthy as well. So the channels were open. We ate all plant-based. It was a no alcohol involved retreat. If we had treats, it was more like fruit and like Balinese desserts, which we know
Nice.
like other countries, the way that they do foods and desserts is more natural than some of the chemicals and the junk that we have in our foods here in America. So
Yeah.
the portals were all the way open. So that was the messaging. And I got home. That was in August. I got home. That September was my first Black Men's Healing Circle. I moved on it quickly. I wanted to be obedient. I thought the idea was great. And like I said, I had looked around and saw so many women, a lot, and especially a lot of Black women who had made that level of investment, or a big level, I should say, of investment into their own care to travel all the way to Bali for a retreat. I was like, well, I can do this at home for a group of men that show up. The one part that I struggled with as a business owner was, what do I charge for this? Like,
Yep.
what is a good rate that one makes sense that helps, to at the very least pay for the space that I'm renting, pay for my time. And then, and I just kept going back and forth with the number. And then when I meditated on it, what was downloaded to me was right now it will be donation based because the impact that it will be made, that it will make, that I can't put a number on it. And
Yeah.
so it has been donation based. As of now, it will stay donation based. So the Black men that register and attend, they give what they can. I've had some men give $1, $5. I've had some men give $50. And whoever shows up, I serve them and I serve them well.
Now, why is it that you think Black men need more spaces like that?
One, I don't see enough of them, and it could be because I'm a Black woman and I'm not like necessarily looking, but even being in the mental health and the wellness like arena, I'm not seeing it. And then two, it's needed because our Black women are making the investment. And my hope or my goal or my concern, I'll say that my concern is that if women in general dominate the wellness space as
Yeah.
practitioners, as participants, that's just without saying. And then black women are definitely dominating it more than black men. And so my concern is, as black women are on this journey, and not just black women, like a couple here and there, but like in loads on this journey to health, healing, and wellness, and our black men are not, then my concern is a bigger gap happening between relationship between black man and black woman, which creates bigger gap in community, bigger gap in family, bigger gap in marriage. And so my goal is that, like, okay, as black women are seeing these spaces pop up for them, I want black men to see the spaces pop up for them as well. And hopefully them seeing the space is available, it would ignite them to say, like, I want that, or I need that, or I know someone who would appreciate that type of space.
Yeah, I'm involved with a group called the Fatherhood Network. Obviously, their mission is to enhance like fatherhood and just the perception of fatherhood, the importance of fatherhood. But one of their things is wellness. And I was just on a trip with them, and we just had a whole day of just we worked hard, but we had a day of wellness. And I do feel like a lot of black men sometimes feel bad for relaxing, or sometimes don't know how to relax. So even with that question, was the turnout what you expected? Was there a lot of black men that came, or was it just a small amount?
Every week is different. It has gone from like 10 to 12 men in the room to one session. I had several men register, but only one man show up.
Wow.
And so it's a variety. And even my husband and I was like, man, I've been doing this since September. Like, it doesn't feel like it. Ultimately it's just continue providing the space and allowing for who shows up to show up. And then of course there's like the behind the scenes, the marketing piece, like, is it on the right day? Is it on the right time? Like, do I need to make adjustments there? But ultimately at this moment, I'm just still called to just create the space, to invite black men into the space and to show up.
If I was there, I would come. I was looking at it like, this is...
Mommy, yes. For anybody that's in the Los Angeles area that's listening, I would love to have you. I've been doing it once a month on Sundays. And the other thing I know I contend with is like, hey, Sundays for some people is relaxing day, Sundays for some people is sports day, and all these sorts of things. But then I also not every man watches sports, and it's on Sunday at a time where if you go to church on Sundays, you have time to do that. And if you use your Sundays for like laundry or meal prepping or grocery shopping, you still have time to do that. So it's like, it's sandwiched in the middle of the day. So it's not taking your morning and it's not taking your evening, which I think is a really sweet spot. But I want to go back to your statement when you said that some black men or men feel guilty for resting. That's such a valid point. There was a podcast that I listened to. I don't want to mess his name up. I think it's Jason Wilson. And it was a beautiful podcast. And he was talking about black men and the journey of black men, and being able to hear it from the black man's perspective was really enlightening to me. And one thing that he said, he was like, a lot of black men are praised or rewarded or loved for what they can provide, for the support that they give to the family, whether that's financial. And while the statement he made was true, it was also heartbreaking to hear that, because there's so much more to men than just what they can provide. And there's so much more to black men than just what they can provide. There's a study out there that says that black men make the most loving fathers. And I think that's such a beautiful study, because that speaks to like the depth and the care that black men bring to their family, not just what they can provide financially, but how they are such pillars in the household, or can be. And with that level of strength, you need space to just unwind, to be, and not have to perform, and to rest. And I'm just honored to be able to provide just like a sliver of corner of the community to be able to do that. But it's definitely needed for our men.
Yes, you are doing God's work. Even just being receptive to, like, when you heard Jason Wilson say that, or even when you were in Bali and you heard God say what he said to you and you listened, I just want to applaud you and thank you for that.
It's an honor.
But we'll switch to the Love Challenge, the book that you wrote to help relationships grow. What inspired you to write that book?
So I was a stay-home mom for 5 years, and during that time, I spent a lot of time with other stay-home moms, and one of the biggest complaints was them feeling like they didn't have energy at the end of their day. They're like, all the pouring they poured into the family, into the household, into taking care of the kids, they were like, when my husband gets home, like, I have nothing. And I was like, oh no, like, this isn't good. And being new to motherhood, I knew for me that that's not the life that I wanted to live, that I wanted, my husband to come home and feel welcomed and enjoyed and appreciated. And for me to still have the energy to show like that love and that excitement to have him home.
Yeah.
So then I thought, well, what can I do? Like, how can I help these moms? And I said, oh, I'll create a challenge. And I thought that it was going to be a 10-day challenge. And when I sat in front of my computer to start working on it, God was like, I need you to create a 30-day challenge. And I was like, 30 days? Like, I don't have 30 days worth of content in me. But each night I sat and I wrote, and the words just flowed out of me. It was helpful for me and for other moms. But then after that, when I went back into private practice and I started to work with busy people, not just moms, but like C-suites, entrepreneurs, CEOs, business owners, or just people who had a busy life and wore a lot of hats, I realized like, oh, this isn't just helpful for moms. This is helpful for busy people. And so the Love Challenge is bite-sized things that you can do daily to add value to your relationship. Because a lot of times, we're busy, or we don't have the energy, or we don't prioritize it, or we fall into, I got the girl, or I got the man and I'm good now. And so we're not pursuing, or we're not dating them in the way that we were when we first got together. And we look up and it's like, wait a minute, when's the last time we made love? When's the last time we've been on a date? When's the last time we just sat and just talked and just gazed into each other's eyes? And
Yep.
so each day gives you small things that you can do to add value and more love to the relationship. And it's intentionally small by like chapter reading, but it makes a big impact because I know people are busy and people are like, I don't have all day to read a chapter back to back. So you
Yeah.
could just read one chapter a day and it's going to make a difference in the relationship.
So now, what's one thing? Because I've been married for 10 years, so everything you just said, I can relate to. We have two young boys, so there's definitely times where it seems like it's just too busy for anything else, and then you do look up, and it's been 3 or 4 weeks since you've gone on
Yeah.
a date night, or even 3 or 4 months. Because
Yeah.
babysitters are expensive. Y'all gotta lower
Yeah.
those prices. But
Right, right. Babysitters are expensive, but I heard somebody say too, so is divorce.
oh, you don't have to gut punch me like that. But no, you are absolutely correct. Because I actually say the same thing to people. I tell them about the juicer I have, and they'll be like, "That's expensive." And then my response is always, "Hospital bills are more expensive."
Absolutely.
So yeah, you are absolutely correct. We're gonna get a babysitter next weekend. So, but what's one simple thing that people can start doing today to improve their relationships, and specifically talking about marriage?
One that I would recommend, since we live in such a busy world and we're so tied and connected to our devices, is that when your partner comes home from work or out of their home office that they've been stuck in all day and they enter into the room, put your phone down. Put your phone
Hmm.
down or turn the TV off and fully engage with that person or with each other.
We just gonna keep it that simple.
That's
Put
it.
y'all's phones down.
Put your phone down and just fully engage. How was your day? What were the highs of your day? What were the lows? How did you feel today? What did you have for lunch? What was the favorite part of your day? What was the least favorite part of your day? How are you? Anything you need from me to support you in the rest of this evening?
Beautiful. And I'm going to take that advice. Because, I mean, we are in a world of, it's a habit to pick up your phone. Even if you're engaging in a conversation, like, I've done those things before where I ask those questions, but I still have my phone.
Uh-huh.
And I might
Yep.
be sharing eye contact with my wife and my phone. And yeah, just putting the phone down will make a huge difference for sure. So I have, with everything that you do, the coaching, the podcasting, the international speaking, if you had to drop all of them but one, which one would you keep and why?
Oh, that's a hard question. Um, I would keep the wellness events and experiences that I've been doing.
Okay.
because that space allows me to basically incorporate all of the things that I do everywhere else. It allows me to incorporate some words of wisdom that maybe I would share on a podcast or doing my public speaking. It allows me to share tools and resources that maybe only you're learning when you're in therapy and getting them from a licensed practitioner. It allows me to share resources and tools as a wellness and holistic healing coach that maybe you would only get by working one on one with me or with a coach. But during the wellness experiences, I get the opportunity to bring all of me to those sectors and to
Yeah.
share all parts of me with the attendees. The only thing they're missing out of is that one-on-one relationship of telling me their individual story, but at
Yeah.
least they get to leave with tools that they can start implementing until they're able to work with someone one-on-one to walk through their own individual stories and journeys.
So a big theme of this podcast is we are all human. So even after the growth and everything that you've accomplished, what are some things that you still have to work on or check yourself on today?
Ooh, that's a good question. The biggest one that I'm learning is, and I've known it, but it's getting more clear to me the wiser I get, is
Yeah.
that I am very slow to anger, which I appreciate, but I'm very slow to forgive. So it's going to take me
Hmm.
a while to get angry, but once I'm there, then it's hard for me to come back from it.
Right.
So that's something I'm learning, and that's a journey for me. The other thing is, what else am I learning in this season? The other thing is getting more comfortable with even my own spiritual gifts. That has been a journey as well. I
Yeah.
think that, they show up in who I am as a therapist, they show up in who I am as a coach. But the deeper I go into my own work, it makes me even more comfortable with allowing my gifts to just be and show up wherever they need to show up. Because everywhere I go is everywhere I am.
Now, this is a very selfish question. I just threw this one in here today. I'm on season 1 of this podcast, and I see you are on, I think, season 9 or maybe even
We
beyond.
are launching season 9 this spring.
Yes. So what is your advice for me, like navigating the new podcast space? Because this is my ninth conversation. I'm still
Okay.
learning. I'm still growing. What advice would you have?
Yeah, to be consistent, to think of it as like a store. If you're a store, you want your customers to know what time your store is open. So that consistency looks like if you've decided I'm going to post a new episode every Thursday at 9 a.m., then stay consistent with that. Every Thursday at 9 a.m. so that your customers know when your store is open. To be
Yes.
consistent would be probably the best advice, and then also to continue doing the work. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're learning and growing over time. You may
Yeah.
get to season 2 and look at season 1 and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I was doing, but you showed up and you were consistent, which is most important.
Yeah, I'm in season 1 and looking at season 1 like I don't know what I'm doing,
I understand.
but I'm
Yeah.
doing it. So yeah, that's for sure. I appreciate that. But as someone who's had so many different conversations throughout your podcast journey, what have you learned about people and healing just from listening to other people's stories?
I have learned that everyone has stuff that they want to deal with, or that even if they don't want to deal with, everyone has stuff that they need to deal with. And I'm saying stuff, but we can put another word in there that starts with a S and ends with a
Yeah,
T. Everyone has stuff that that they need to deal with,
yeah,
and that's okay. None of us are born perfect. None of us have had the perfect childhood. Even when I went into my grad school program to be a therapist, one thing that our director said is like, go to therapy yourself, to all of us. And I was like, I'm good. I don't need to go to therapy. And so I didn't. But then he said it in another way in another semester. And he said, even if you feel like you don't need to go for you, go for your clients so that you know what it feels like to be on the other side of that couch, to be sitting there as a client in front of a therapist. It's going to help to increase your level of empathy and help for you to just be a better therapist, to know what it's like to be on the other side. So I was like, oh, I'll do that, because in my mind I'm like, I want to be the best therapist. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I went to therapy. I've been to therapy several times, but my first experience with therapy, I went thinking, oh, I'm coming just to be a better therapist. I'm coming to, know what it's like to be a client. I sat on that couch and was like, oh, I got some stuff I need to unpack,
Yep.
so even the people who think they don't need it or don't have anything, like, there's stuff to unpack. So there's that. And to be okay with that therapy is not a bad thing. It's more bad if you need to go and you don't go. That's what makes it bad. We unfortunately live in a society where it's like, oh, therapy's for quote crazy people. And it's like, no, you're crazy if you don't go. And we all need that safe space to be, held and held accountable, and to heal from all of the different things that are happening to us day in, day out.
Definitely. What are you most proud of?
I'm proud to be a mother. I'm proud of, my children, my family. I am proud of, like, my ambitious attitude. Like, I approach things with a go get 'em attitude, with a yes I can attitude, with curiosity. I am proud of my growth, that, I can get to a place, and if I feel stuck or if I feel that I need to continue learning, then I give myself permission to be able to do that. I am proud that I know how to be serious, and I also know how to have fun. I like to have a
Yep.
good time. And I'm also proud that I'm open to change, because sometimes we get stuck and we just become closed to change. And the reality is that we're not even the same person we were yesterday. We're a day older, we're hours older. And so being open to change.
Perfect. I love the way you answer that. This question I asked to everybody on the pod. Well, actually, for the first 5 episodes, I didn't. But going forward, this is the
Okay.
question I asked to everybody. How are you living good and feeling better every day?
Great question. I am living good by, I have been blessed to create a schedule that works for me. I knew at a very young age that I wanted to work for myself. Ever since I had my first job, that feeling of being micromanaged has always made me really uncomfortable. And I just
Same,
know, like,
same
this
here.
is not going to work for me. I mean, I'm a firstborn child. I'm an Aries, if that means anything to you or to anybody who's listening. So this idea of, like, being micromanaged, like, I knew, like, oh no, this is not going to work for me. So I love being in a position and having the privilege to work on my own terms and my own hours. So that's how I feel like I'm living good and living well. Also, inviting laughter into my day every single day, inviting joy and peace, and learning myself, learning what makes me feel good. Working out makes me feel good. It started as a journey for me to lose weight. And what I learned through that process is that it has been a mental and emotional, like, transformation for me, not just physical. So I really appreciate that. And I am living good and feeling better by eating 90% plant-based foods, juicing. We probably juice
Yes.
every day, learning to read labels on food, and making more of the foods at home versus buying them, like making my own nut milks and creamers. And, like, that excites me. Like, it brings me so much fun. And I see it
Yeah.
as a challenge sometimes, like, oh, I can make my own ice cream. How do you do that? And then I get challenged to be able to do it, and to know, like, my ice cream has 3 ingredients versus the one at the store has like 10. So,
I almost screamed into the mic. I don't want to hurt your
scream
ears.
into the
You,
mic.
no, that's literally that's where I'm at in life right now. I'm very busy, but I do enjoy obviously juicing with Josh. I make my own juice, but just the more research I do, I love making what I can. Onion
Yeah.
powder instead of buying it from the store. It's easy to just make your own onion
Okay,
powder.
that's a new one for me. I need to elevate to that one. I haven't made onion powder.
I haven't yet either, but I'm going to. So I
Okay,
got everything ready. So
I love it.
this is the part where I want you to brag on yourself. I don't care how awkward it feels, but talk about everything that you have coming up, everything that you've been doing, where people can follow you and find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me, Josh. This has been a wonderful conversation. I have appreciated and enjoyed your Juicing with Josh content. One
Thank
thing I
you.
love about you and your engagement on social media is that like you don't just like post, like you show up, you communicate, you ask questions, like you engage back, you use
Yeah.
social media what it was like traditionally to be used for and not like a hey look at me space. So I appreciate that and thank you for having me.
Thank
For
you.
anyone that wants to stay connected with me, my name is Melissa Dumaz. You can find me anywhere under Melissa Dumaz. You could Google me, but you'll find me on any social media platform. You'll find my book by Googling me or my name, my podcast, my private practice. My website is my first name and my last name.com. So made it very easy for all of us. What I have coming up, my sister-in-law, who's also a wellness coach, we have collaborated and we've been doing quarterly in-person events in Southern California called Sip and Center. And ultimately through Sip and Center, we provide either a plant-based nourishment through juice or soup. And we'll come in, we'll juice, we'll do a juicing demo, and then I'll come in and I'll provide guided meditation, sound healing, journaling prompts, and we've been doing them seasonal. So the recipe changes based on the season, and then the activity changes based on the season. So our next one is coming up spring 2026. It will be the end of spring, the end of May. I will continue to host my Black Men's Healing Circles. They're in person in Southern California. So if you're listening or if you know someone or if you want to be connected, please tap in and join us. My book is available anywhere that you purchase your books online, the Love Challenge, and then my podcast. The Hats Podcast is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Season 9 is going to be launching this spring, and season 9 we're going to be on video versus usually we're audio. So we're excited about that new season. But that's all the things. And I mean, I have some other things that I'm working on behind the scenes, but stay connected with me and I will continue to share them. And the things that I love and really value and share. If I am a collaborator or a partner with a brand, I share that information and I also share affiliate codes. But the one thing about me that comes to affiliate codes, I only connect and collaborate with brands that align with me. I am not here to share anything just for the sake of making money, but it still has to be on brand for me. So if you see me saying, buy this juicer, buy this rain stick, it's because I really believe in it and not because I'm looking for your sales, because I have a whole other business to run. but thank you for having me.
Definitely beautifully said. I just want to say also, thank you for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed getting to know people beyond their profile picture. Like up until today, I've known you as Cooking with Mel, and now I feel like I know Melissa, even just a little bit more. So I appreciate that. The book, The Love Challenge, is actually in my Amazon cart. I threw it in there this morning. So I'm going to do some more research on it. But yeah, that's being bought. So I can't wait to read that with my wife. And with that being said, y'all know episodes drop every Tuesday. This is actually the last guest of the season. Then we're going to have our last episode the next week. So we will see y'all next Tuesday. Peace. Now I know y'all think the same thing as me. That was a great episode. She is doing so much, and she doesn't just balance it, but she knows how to weave in and out of relaxing and getting it done, and that's what I aspire to do. That's something I really look up to. One thing that stood out to me was the advice that she gave about relationships. It's simple, but it's powerful. Put your phones down. When she said that, I automatically wanted to say, like, I'm not one of those people that has their phone up when my wife is talking, but I am. Like, there's times where I'm going back and forth between looking at my wife and looking at my phone. And from this point forward, I'm going to be intentional about putting my phone down, because it's something that small and that simple that can just change how a conversation flows. When you give somebody eye contact and give them the time that they probably need after coming home and trying to debrief from being out there in the world. Melissa is a reminder to me that no matter where you came from, Change is possible if you decide to take control of your life. Be intentional about what you want. Set the goals, set the schedule, stick to the schedule, and you can make some great, phenomenal things happen. One of the first things you see when you go to her website is a quote that says, "You may not have been born into a soft life, but you can create one." That right there lets me know she's not letting life control her. She's taking life and she's making sure that she is in the driver's seat. Look, y'all, for fun, healthy juicing content, I need y'all to follow Juicing with Josh. That's juicing_with_Josh. Also, the Instagram for this podcast, which is Live Good, Feel Better Pod. There's an underscore in between each word. If y'all are watching on YouTube, make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure you like, comment. Come on, engage with me a little bit, okay? And look, please, if you are on Spotify or Apple, please give me an honest review. We are 9 episodes in. Next week is the last episode for this season. I would really appreciate some real honest feedback on what y'all like about the podcast, what you don't like, what is doing well, what could be taken away. I really want to know. With that being said, I will see y'all next Tuesday. And until then, live good so you can feel better. Peace. Ambition, I'ma go after. Obstacles, it don't matter. All action, low chatter, won't slow down, I'ma go faster. More goals that I'll try. Let's scroll on Wi-Fi, no fast food in my gut. More sunshine, cause I'm outside. Only time speaking vocally is in the song, then you gon' see every single thing pan out like my wife cooking and we bout to eat. Bank accounts with interest, stocks up when I invest. No updates on my timeline, could care less if you impress. My vision board on Pinterest, I'm praying more when I get stressed. I'm making sure that my kids set. My 2 boys, they been next. Took a break, I'ma get going. I was moving quiet like the wind blowing. Now I'm stomping for my dreams, and I promise you there's no more tiptoeing. Cause ambition, I'ma go after. Obstacles, it don't matter. All action, low chatter, won't slow down, I'ma go faster. More goals that I'll try. Let's scroll on Wi-Fi, no fast food in my gut. More sunshine, cause I'm outside. More sunshine.